Hello everyone, and welcome to a brand new Star Rail theory and speculation video. Today, I want to talk about the path of the Enigmata and its Aeon, Mythus. They are one of the most mysterious Aeons, with their followers, the Riddlers and the history fictionologists, being just as confusing. Now, this video does contain spoilers for the quests listed on screen now, so if you haven't done those, you have been warned. With all that said though, let's get right into the video. Out of all the Aeons we know about in Star Rail, Mythus is almost certainly the most confusing. To quote the loading screen about Mythus, they believe that things in themselves are beyond perception, and that finite entities are incapable of envisioning true infinity, and therefore everything is an enigma. Basically, Mythus strives to bring mystery to the universe and cast doubt on certainty. To help them in this task, they conjured the fog of thought and rain of sensation to reveal the inexplicable truth to mortals through the four agents, those being Morph, Screen, Riddle, and Mirage. The theme of uncertainty remains prevalent in their appearance, with their form resembling a broken and torn jellyfish, akin to a deliberately destroyed version of the cognitive center of the human brain. Additionally, their form contains a large amount of winding and confusing staircases. These staircases highly resembled the lithograph Relativity by M.C. Escher, a work that depicts a world in which the normal laws of gravity do not apply. Of course, such a lawless world would be perfect for the Aeon of the Enigmata. Now then, Mythus does have some ties to a few other Aeons that we know of. According to Herta, the Enigmata was born from the Remembrance, and thus Mythus has quite a few ties to Thule. A long time ago, Astral Express navigator Sam 3000 once claimed to have seen Mythus manifesting in the reflection of Thule's Eden of Blessed Insight. This could have been when Mythus ascended to become an Aeon, but it could also just be showing the Enigmata's ties to the Remembrance. This isn't the only time Mythus has been linked to Thule though, as a similar occurrence happens to the Trailblazer in simulated universe Golden Gears. When attempting to investigate Thule's Eden of Blessed Insight, they would be met and pulled away by Mythus, instead of the expected Aeon, Thule. Of course, Thule is not the only Aeon that Mythus has been linked to. While the Enigmata seeks mystery, the Erudition seeks certainty, making Nous the Erudition another Aeon that is tied to Mythus. Mythus seeks to challenge the certainty of the Erudition regardless of the consequences, making the two paths essentially opposites. To me, it makes a lot of sense for the Enigmata to be tied to both the Remembrance and the Erudition. One path seeks the preservation of memories and history, while the other seeks the certainty of knowledge, both of which are concepts that Mythus and their followers want to tamper with. We do know about a few times when Mythus themselves tampered with certain historical events. In Golden Gears, we learn that they tampered with both the Border Star Trade War and the First Mechanical Emperor's War. Additionally, it is heavily implied that they were responsible for the Memoria leak in the Asdana system, where Penacony is. Of course, Mythus doesn't do this work alone, and they have plenty of followers to help them. The first faction of the Enigmata is the Riddlers, a group obsessed with destroying the certainty of language. They go around the universe spouting ridiculous nonsense and writing falsehoods. In the past, members of this organization were very well-respected people, including poets, painters, monks, and more. Many of them would have reached great heights in their respective fields as well. However, after coming into contact with the Aeons, they turned into an incomprehensible group, the Riddlers known today. As I said, the Riddlers worked to destroy the certainty of language, gradually obfuscating words used to express meaning. In their mission, they deconstruct texts, abuse metaphors, change word orders, tamper with semantics, and so much more. They are able to transform a precise and beautiful language into something far beyond recognition. These actions leave subtle yet huge impacts on the universe, spreading doubt and mystery along the way. Like the Aeon they follow, they are against the certainty of the Erudition. Since they are against the Erudition, there is potential for us to get a plot revolving around them and the Genius Society. On a visit to the Herta space station, we could learn that some of the Riddlers are messing with the simulated universe. Herta would enlist our help to stop them, and potentially the help of other Genius Society members we haven't seen in person before, such as Stephen Lloyd. This could also be a chance for us to finally get playable Screwlum, a character who I really want to play as soon. Moving on though, it's time to talk about the other main faction associated with the Enigmata, that being the History Fictionologists. This faction is dedicated to obscuring history, and they are much more prominent than the Riddlers. As such, they have messed with the histories of multiple factions, even including the Xianzhou Alliance. Ironically, due to their philosophy of obscuring history though, their own history is a mystery, even to themselves. At some point, their philosophy led them to questioning their maker's history and if the faction even truly existed. Of course, the History Fictionologists do exist, and their influence can be felt throughout the entire game. Yao Si, who runs Pure Fiction, is a creation of the History Fictionologists. Like the faction that created it, it wants to prevent the cosmos from reaching a point of certainty. Besides this, the History Fictionologists have actually had quite a big influence on Penacony and the events of its history. Back in 2147 Amber Era, the History Fictionologists were part of the various factions who fought against the IPC for Penacony's freedom. A certain creation of a History Fictionologist, Gallagher, would go on to become close friends with the Watchmaker, the father of Penacony. Gallagher would stay alive up until the events of Penacony's Trailblaze missions. Once his story was completed, as a virtual character, he ceased to exist. Recently, the History Fictionologists also launched a surprise attack on the museum, located in Penacony's Moment of Soul, modifying records, exhibits, and more. Luckily, the Nightingale family and the Garden of Recollection staff in Penacony were able to repair and reopen the museum in 10 system hours. Now, members or creations of the History Fictionologists could realistically appear anywhere, including on planets we've been to in the past, meaning there is a lot of potential for us to see their influence again in the future. Speaking of the future, it's time to discuss what role the Enigmata could play in the future of Star Rail's story. Personally, I think this path could come into the spotlight quite soon. At the end of Penacony's Trailblaze missions, the Astral Express crew decided to travel to Amphorius, the Eternal Land. This planet is one that Akavili the Trailblaze never even reached, and it's unknown to most people. According to Black Swan, it can only be seen through the light of the mirrors from the Garden of Recollection. Additionally, she tells us that the world is fettered by 3 different paths, leaving its destiny uncertain. Before I talk more about these paths though, I want to discuss what Amphorius might be based on. From the little we know about the planet, there seems to be a lot of ancient Greek and Roman influences. The achievement we get when deciding an Amphorius, Tell Me O Muse, is a quote from Homer's Odyssey, an epic about ancient Greece. Amphorius can also refer to an ancient Greek unit of liquid measure, equal to about 9 gallons. Finally, the planet's title of the Eternal Land may refer to Rome's nickname, the Eternal City. With all of this in mind, I believe that the 3 paths of Amphorius will be the Enigmata, the Erudition, and the Remembrance. First, a connection to the Remembrance has already been given, as Amphorius can only be seen through the light of the mirrors from the Garden of Recollection. As such, it would make a lot of sense for this planet to be tied to this path. Next, the Enigmata has been connected to the Remembrance before, so a link here would make sense as well. Finally, the Erudition would fit as the 3rd path, as it would go against the confusion of the Enigmata. The fact that Amphorius is based on ancient Greece and Rome would also fit these paths quite well. The events that occurred during the times of these civilizations aren't fully known, with some parts being lost to time. Additionally, lots of myths surround them as well, including the previously mentioned Odyssey. This would explain why the 3 different paths present on this planet leave its destiny uncertain. Will the planet's history be remembered properly? Will myths and legends make their way into history? Will the truth shine through the enigmas? To me, these 3 paths feel like the most probable for Amphorius. It would allow us to learn more about each of them and meet more of their followers, and it would make for a very interesting story. Of course, the 3 paths could be completely different, we'll just have to wait and see. As the release of Amphorius gets closer, I definitely will be talking more about it. Anyways, that's pretty much it for my thoughts on Mythus the Enigmata. I really want to know more about this Aeon, and I can't wait to see if Amphorius will tell us more about them and their factions. If you want more lore about the Aeons of Star Rail though, I recommend my videos on Ouroboros the Veracity and Adrilla the Beauty. I would love to hear what ideas you all have for Mythus and the Enigmata in the comments below as well. Anyways, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Sources and further readings are also in the description if you want to check them out. I hope you all have an amazing day, and I'll see you all in the next video.